Hello, everybody. How are you guys? I hope you guys are good. Sorry for the constant pushing back of this live. I just had so much stuff to go through and so much stuff to get done. And I'm sorry, sometimes life just gets, you got to take care of your life stuff first. So I'm glad I could finally make it. And I really want to go over this interview and Nick's answers that he gave to the questions that you guys asked. So before we get started, welcome back to the CNY family. Thank you so much for being here. If you are a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. If you are new to this channel and you like this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Make sure you hit that like and make sure you click that notification bell so you're notified of any future videos that we do. All right. Now, this interview was done, or an interview. I keep wanting to call it an interview, but this was done over on CCTV's channel. And I did ask her if I could use it for this live. So she did say yes. So I just want to go over some of the answers, but the link to it is down in the description below. All right. So make sure you show her your support. But yeah, so I did not make it through all the way through this the first time that I watched it. So we're going to go through the whole thing this time and we'll do it together. How is everybody this morning? D. Libby, Justice, good morning. Thank you guys for coming. All right, let me switch these around and let's get started.
Again for hitting me up about these questions that a lot of people have out there. I appreciate it, and I have no problems. In fact, I'd rather get more of these answers out there to people that are interested to maybe find the real answers that we're all looking for. I'd like to introduce to those of you that don't know, this is Devin Carroll. Devin was also a team member with me on our former search team that we were on. He was the lead cameraman / producer on that trip, and he was actually in the boat with me when I found Kylie. So I've got him with me today, helping out, and he can also help answer some of these questions because he was there the entire time, and he may know the answers to some of these better than I do because we were slightly in different spots at different times. So thanks for helping me out with this, Devin. Appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me help. And we want to be clear, first and foremost, we are going to answer the questions to the best of our abilities and truthfully to the facts that we know. So, we're not going to speculate on what other people did, on, what the intent was for X, Y, and Z. We're just going to answer them as we can. Think that's good?
Yeah. That's about it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
First question. How many dives did they really do at Prosser Lake?
One. I did one dive. Once we found what we believe to be the car, when we relocated back over by that little peninsula, I put on my dive gear. I got in the water, and I was only in the water. I've got my dive log here, but it was about 4 minutes total underwater. I would say I was only even in the lake, maybe 10 minutes at most.
I mean, from the time that he touched the water to the time he came out, it was about 10 minutes.
Okay. So 4 minutes underwater, but 10 minutes total. Okay. But they got into the lake, 10 minutes they were in the lake, and him going underwater, and that's including everything, 10 minutes. But we are supposed to believe that lake was searched numerous times before. Within 10 minutes, they found the vehicle. But we're just supposed to buy that the other teams just didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. And That to me is crazy. Now, he says that he was under there for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Good morning, Casey.
Roughly 10 minutes. So next question is, at what time of day did the dive happen? And I believe it was around noon, but that's,
Actually, it looks like
2:24.
Of course, I don't know. I use this computer. This is the actual dive computer that I was using for all those dives. I still use it. But I don't know if I had reset the time for daylight savings or not. But it was somewhere between noon and I'm going to say 1:30, somewhere in that time frame. Midday.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that, and I know that there's a question later on that asks, but I was flying my drone around midday to be able to see the vehicle down in the water. So that's why I say around noon, but it was midday. Midday is probably the most accurate we can say.
I get that. Okay, that's one thing that I'm confused about. Okay, is they did have a drone, and he just said that they used the drone and saw the vehicle under the water. But in AWP's video, they were driving around and they found it with the sonar, right? So if you could see the video from the drone, and that happened before, if you could see the vehicle from the drone, and that happened before the dive did, or did it happen after? That's what I'm confused about, because if they flew the drone first and saw the vehicle under there, then they would have known, okay, there's a vehicle there, because Doug was like, I don't think this could be the vehicle, because I mean, how could they have missed it? It might be a boat or something. So I wonder about that. I wonder if anybody knows the answer to that. So did they fly the drone over after the vehicle was after they found the vehicle with the sonar? Or did they fly the drone before they found the vehicle with the sonar? I have to watch it over there too. I mean, I have to watch that too. I have not seen that yet. All right.
Say to that. On what days did they dive at Prosser? I don't know the exact date. You probably have it there, but it was just
August 21st. And I don't know exactly what day of the week that was. I'd have to look at my calendar. I don't know if that was a Saturday or a Sunday.
Right. But we parked there the night before, and the day before we had cleared a few other lakes, as you saw in the video. Next question. Why did we load all the boats back into the trailer and take it to Kylie Point? I'm assuming Kylie Point is where we found. Right. Okay. Why didn't they just leave one of the members on the water while the others went back to get the RV?
I will say that I hate that people call it Kylie Point. I think that is awful.
I kind of have an answer to this. We were trying to be as subtle as we could. And by leaving somebody on the water and circling around, it could have drawn attention, more attention. We had some other people of media traveling with us, and they were trying to get the scoop, get the story. And we just wanted to make sure that we weren't alerting them. And so we were just moving the RV in the trailer to get a better angle and put in at a different part of the lake so we didn't have to travel as far, according to everyone else. The real reason is we were just trying not to stir up commotion.
Right, because again, once you find what you believe is a vehicle underwater, you don't want to raise any red flags until you can confirm that. So at that point in time, we had a suspicion, but we were still not able to confirm it. So that's when we loaded up, moved our whole setup over closer. Basically logistical purposes, it was easier to maneuver, put dive gear on and get.
I do want to say that, so it's come out, a lot of people have talked about Doug being afraid to speak on this, and Doug being afraid to come out and, say much. But it's weird that, Doug is trying to not come out and not speak and not do any interviews and not say anything. But Nick is, willing to come, answer these kind of questions and things. I don't know.
Get to the spot from the trailer than it was clear from the boat ramp.
And those boats are terribly heavy. I mean, with two people, it's easy enough for us to maneuver them. I mean, we do it day in and out for a month straight. So it was nothing for us to throw it in and go around, because we wanted to stay as a unit as much as we could. Before going to the RV, we weren't sure if it was a car or a boat. However, once back in the water at Kylie Point, and before Nick even did his alleged first drive, how did we know it was a car, that it was Kylie's car, that they found Kylie's car, that it was a crime scene, and that a car had a license plate on it? So you can answer this one.
Yeah. So that one's kind of all over the place.
It's long. So essentially the question is, how did we know it was a car or not? We didn't, but there were two telltale signs. One, a magnet stuck to it. Most of the boats that are going to be in that lake are either fiberglass or aluminum. They're not, or stainless steel.
Right. And we also noticed the shape on the sonar did resemble that of a car. So
we were initially unsure. And I remember when you and I scanned it at first, we were just kind of skeptical that it would be anything,
right,
because we knew that the lake was scanned prior. And so we were just doing this as a cursory search. And
I know. And that's another big thing that, people need to remember, is that these guys were literally told not to search process. And that's what I don't understand. Like, so many people today are like, oh my gosh, it was an accident. Like, get over it. Really? Why would the cops have said, listen, you do not need to search process? Like, we've searched it rigorously, thoroughly. It's not there. And these guys were just like, well, we're out here. We might as well search it. But if it was just an accident and there was no cover up involved, and there was no this and no that, the cops would have never told the search team, don't search there. Like, that's a huge red flag, guys.
And so when we saw it, we were just like, could it be a boat? Could it be a car?
Right.
And then we got a second set of eyes on it and verified as well, just to make sure, because, it was kind of a high profile deal.
Right. And so we didn't actually confirm it was her car until we actually dove on it.
And that's the whole reason for the dive. Right. It doesn't take much for us to get into the water to dive on a vehicle or even a boat, but just to verify. We didn't know if it were a crime scene. We didn't, that's, again, the whole reason, the whole answer to your question is we dive on it to verify. We dive on it to find out,
right,
all of those answers, all those questions. The video shows both boats were still in the water when they put the buoy in the water before going back to get the RV and trailer to dive to Kylie Point. However, once they get to Kylie Point, there is no buoy in the water, and only one boat is put back out on the water. So what other footage scenes in their video are faked or staged at Prosser? Omitted footage. We didn't show the footage of us taking the buoy off. The whole point of us taking the buoy off was to not draw attention to the thing. Again, lots of eyes were on us. Lots of eyes were on the lake. So we were just trying to be subtle. Again, the buoy.
And he says here that lots of eyes were on us, lots of eyes were on the lake, right? And they were trying not to draw so much attention. But that's another thing. The park should have been closed, in my opinion, during this time, right? You would think that they would do that. You would think. It doesn't make any sense. They never, ever closed down the campground. They never kept people out of the lakes. They never did any of the normal things that you would do, except when they closed the boat ramp for a little bit of time to cover up on, yeah.
Draw attention, and we knew we could find it again once we got around to the other point.
Right. And to further go on this one, so what other footage was deleted or whatever?
Or fake stage scenes.
Right, because the fake stage scenes, there was no such thing. But you got to realize we film everything. So if we were to try to make a video out of 20 hours of footage, how far do you think it would watch at? You basically put in the important parts. Some of this wasn't taken out for no other reason than to make the story
to fit within a time frame.
right.
And to add to that, we had minimum 2 cameras, if not 4. Two on gimbals, one in the air as a drone, a GoPro. So it's really easy to get tons of footage. And there's no way that people would sit through all of that when it comes to a production. However, there was a scene that I would say was staged where a member was walking out of the trailer, and it was a one shot that one of the other cameramen wanted to get, and it was just to add flavor to the video. But that was before we knew anything. That was before anything took off.
Yeah.
What does Nick regret more, taking part in staging the fake footage or getting caught staging the fake footage after the video was released?
Sorry, it's hard not to laugh at some of these questions. So, first of all, there was no fake footage, and because there was no fake footage, nobody's been caught for faking footage. So I don't know where that came from. I don't know how to answer that, because that's.
I mean, it's ultimately, if you're skeptical, you're going to remain skeptical. We're not here to lie to you about anything. We have nothing to gain or lose from this.
Right. In fact, if I had something to gain for this, I would have done it on my own channel. I'm doing this to try to help, because I know CC is well more connected to this case than I am. I'd like to know what happened too, just like everybody else. So I'm doing everything I can to try to bring any questions that I may be able to answer to help with that. That's all.
All right, next question. Who was contacted first after finding Kylie's car? Was it the family, police, or management?
It was family.
Family first.
And that's one thing that pisses me off about SF is, okay, first of all they had contact for was the aunt. Okay. I don't know how they got the aunts. That's the one question that I do have, which I was too busy and I forgot all about this. So I forgot to send CC my questions, but how they got the aunt's contact info. So they were supposed to reach out to her. Like, Dad and Grandpa were there. Why? And the SF was all over Dad and Grandpa. So I'm just curious as to why they didn't have any contact information for anybody else. We know why they didn't have any for Lindsay, right? Because she didn't want no part of it. But they did call the aunt and told her. And SF is going around telling everybody, oh yeah, they didn't notify the family. They put it out on Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And my God, I'll save that part for later when they get into SF.
Wholeheartedly family. I can expand upon that a little bit. Dad and Grandpa were on scene so fast, ridiculously fast. Like, Dad came roaring up on an ATV, and he was just searching in the trees and the.
Hold on, I want to go over some of these. Let's see. They never searched, in my opinion, after the spectacle of a news conference, etc., had finished, and they'd hushed the community center audience with deceit and lies. MJ said, what would Doug have done differently if he had dived? Why does Jared and Doug not speak? Sure had a lot to say in their over-the-top production. Well, yes, and right after they were jumping on all kinds of panels. And then it seems that all of a sudden, Doug wouldn't come forward anymore. Jared had that stuff come out about him, so you didn't hear from him anymore. And it just seems like Nick Rinn's the only one willing to come out and, say anything. When the magnet hit the car, Ellie should have been called. They shouldn't have even dived. If you want my honest opinion, Ellie should have been there. Ellie should have been there when they were diving. But Ellie didn't. Now think about this. They had already pulled out of that area, okay? So, and they were told not to search there. So Ellie had no reason to believe that they were going to search Prosser Lake. Nobody knew that this was going to happen except for AWP, right? When they decided, well, we're going to search it anyway. And I just don't know what good it would have done to call Ellie in when the magnet hit the car, right? Because Ellie had already claimed that they had searched that lake many, many times. So at first they were like, I mean, you saw Doug's he was like, this, I mean, this can't be the car. Come on. They really didn't. I believe they really didn't think that they were going to find the car. So yeah, Ellie was not there. They were not on the premises because they had already pulled out of that area. They had already told AWP not to search there. So I think that they all just assumed that nobody was going to search there. The cover, I feel, was covered in silt, etc., to hide it more. And in my opinion, I don't think it was there when the real volunteers went in. So I think I recall Doug not thinking it was Kylie. It appeared longer. Okay.
The area, so they were the first ones to know.
Yep.
Who posted on Facebook at 2:28 p.m. that they had found Kylie's car? I have no idea.
I have no idea. That's above.
Adventures with Purpose. As a matter of fact, when her car was found, I was watching Zav Girl's channel, and she had Jared, or no, was it Jared? I don't know. She had a panel on there, and I know Ryan was on there. There was a bunch of other people on there, and somebody had said in the chat, "Oh my God, they just found her car." So I immediately left that video and went over and searched it, and yes, AWP from their Facebook page had posted that they found her car. But I don't know what member of AWP did, but they absolutely did.
I can tell you that
I did.
I can tell you that I was angry that the post happened.
I didn't even know it did happen.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyway, who was in the air balloon when it was flying and hovering over the car at Kylie Point? So I'm not sure if somebody was in an air balloon over Kylie Point. I went up in the air balloon first thing in the morning. That was happenstance. The air balloons were just a couple of enthusiasts, a couple pilots who came out. Literally 2 air balloons, and they were just playing.
It just happened to be where we parked in a parking lot there the night before to find a place to basically go to sleep. We woke up in the morning to these noises outside the RV, and it was the sound of 2 different air balloon teams setting up these air balloons, hot air balloons. Mm-hmm. And so that was something we didn't know about. They came, you got to realize this is in the Lake Tahoe area. It's a touristy place. There's a lot of stuff going on. So apparently it's popular for these people to use that spot as a hot air balloon launch site.
Mm-hmm. As far as being in the air balloons, getting into the air balloons, I was woken up by one of the other members and was told, hey, grab your camera. There are air balloons outside, hot air balloons. And so we went out and just filmed because it was a cool scene, for us to just see in the morning. It wasn't going to be added to the video. This is for our own stuff. And I actually have a shot of one of the people on one of my YouTube shorts, and you'll see. I think it was the 2022 recap, and there's one of the ladies who's shooting flames into her hot air balloon. So our enthusiasm got us invited aboard the air balloons, and I took it as an opportunity just to at least look above. It wasn't anything more than what our drones could see.
Right.
We're coming in for a landing, especially if it's a high wind landing, face the direction that we're traveling. That way you see what we hit when we hit it. And hold on in 2 places. There's the rope handles here, the tops of the tanks, the uprights. And by holding on and having your knees slightly bent, you get to follow rule number 1, which is what? Stay in the basket. Number 3, ballooning is a sport to share. I'm sharing it with you, sharing it with folks on the ground. If you see something cool, point it out to me. If you see something that scares you, tell me so I can be scared too.
Freaking ads.
Oh, yeah.
Really, there wasn't much more to that scene. I mean, it was we just went up. We came down. I got Josh to go in, and then he got carried away by the wind. And we started our mission because the guys who are doing the hot air balloons said, we'll go get them. You guys do what you need to do.
Right.
All members were awake by 6 a.m. and they never got in the water at Prosser until 10:41. Besides washing in the lake, eating breakfast, and having a few 20-minute air balloon rides, what else did they do between 6 and 10:41 a.m.?
So first of all, wash in the lake. I don't know what that. We actually have. There was a bathroom provided in the RV, and when you have 4 or 5 guys staying in an RV, it takes a while for everybody to do their personal hygiene, eat some breakfast, brush your teeth, that sort of thing in the morning. So like any other job, we kind of had let's start at say 9 a.m. is kind of a target. So you get up in the morning and you spend a couple hours kind of getting ready, just like most people do at your normal job. You don't just wake up 15 minutes before you start work. You get up and you've got to take a shower, get dressed, eat some food.
For those that are on camera, they have to prep, make sure they look good.
Yeah, and I don't know where they came up with the 10:41.
So that sequence I mentioned earlier, there was a timestamp sequence, and that was something that we were just trying out. We had done it on a couple other shoots, and we were just trying to see would it add something to the story. It wasn't anything more than just like giving people a time scale as to how long it took us to do things. So 10:41 was when they were walking out of the trailer, that scene of them walking out to the boats, and they said, it's 10:41 a.m. We're about to get on the water or something along those lines. What is the name of the person that was bleeped out in the video that allegedly got into an altercation with Kylie at the party? No idea.
Okay. They stated in the beginning they located a car at 10:45. So this is where I get mixed up. Okay. So Earl, just a few minutes ago, he had said that it was between 12 and 1:30 that they found the car. Right? That's what he said earlier in this thing. But let me rewind this section just a little bit.
It wasn't anything more than just like giving people a time scale as to how long it took us to do things. So 10:41 was when they were walking out of the trailer, that scene of them walking out to the boats, and they said, it's 10:41 a.m. We're about to get on the water or something along those lines. What is the name of the person that was bleeped out?
So yeah, that is weird. That is such a lie that they don't know the name, because he was sitting right there when it was said. Oh yeah, for sure. I believe that they know the name that was said. Absolutely. Now, whether or not they believe it was true is another story, but I do believe that they know the name of, because even if they weren't right next to Doug when he heard it, you know what I'm saying? Even if they weren't right there, they definitely would have talked about it afterwards. But again, that might be something that, like, to me, it seems like, now I have no problem with Nick Rinn, right? I think what he does is awesome. But it does seem like he's just holding back a little bit. Like he's trying not to upset some people. So he tries not to, elaborate on some things. I'll put it that way.
On the video that allegedly got into an altercation with Kylie at the party. No idea.
I have no idea either. That was something that was spoke on a different boat, and it wasn't something that afterwards. A lot of people might think that we would all huddle and discuss everything that was going.
See, that's what I think. You would think that, right? You're on a job and you're doing this. You're trying to find this girl's car. After it's all said and done, you found the car, and then they were asked to leave. You would think, since they're a group, that they would all sit there and talk about what what was said, what was seen, what was done, what was this, what was that. You know, I mean, I would, but he's saying that they didn't. But you would think that they would. That's all I'm saying. Because it's such a big deal. Oh, you're fine, MJ. You're totally fine. Everybody's entitled to their own feelings and their own opinion. You know that.
Going on, that was not the case. Me, I was a new, basically,
At the party. No idea.
I have no idea either. That was something that was spoke on a different boat, and it wasn't something that afterwards. A lot of people might think that we would all huddle and discuss everything that was going on. That was not the case. Me, I was a new, basically a trainee. There was people above me that were making decisions.
See, and I always wondered about that too. Like, okay, let me say this. When you're a trainee, right, you would think that they would do different kinds of things, like have them practice, practice diving down in this lake, practice over here, practice doing this. But when you're searching for a missing girl and you happen to know there's a vehicle, okay, we got it. There's a vehicle down here. Now we got to send a diver down. Was he the only one there that day that could have gone down and done the dive? I mean, why didn't Doug go down and do the dive? Or why didn't another, somebody else who was there go down and do the dive? I'm just wondering, that's only, like, I question that. Like, if he's a trainee, why would you send him down there? And even if you were going to send him down there as part of his training, why on earth wouldn't you send somebody after he came up? Send somebody else down there that has experience, that has done this many, many times before, just to verify everything, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, that's nothing against him. That's more against his boss or whoever's in charge or whoever, you know what I mean? So that I do question that. Because, like I said, even if, AJ's mom, thank you. Even if he went down there, like I said, as a training thing, to give him some experience, why on earth wouldn't you send somebody that was more experienced down just to verify everything? I don't understand that at all. Like, I've been confused about that since the very beginning. All up in an RV crammed together and no one is talking to each other. Give me a snack, please. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Welcome, Casey. Thanks for the membership. It's very much appreciated.
And doing things that I didn't really afterwards. A lot of people might think that we would all huddle and discuss everything that was going on. That was not the case. Me, I was a new, basically a trainee. There was people above me that were making decisions and doing things that I didn't really question because I didn't know exactly what was going on. I was just doing what I was getting paid to do, and that was search and trying to find missing people.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
They claim that they only did one dive at Prosser. So how long was Nick underwater for on this alleged dive?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, and it was one dive. Nick said that he could only see 5 feet in front of his eyes while underwater at Kylie's car. So where did all the light sources come from as seen in their video?
Well, we have 2 lights, as you can see on the full face mask. That's how we light it up. Plus, we were only in think it was 14 feet of water at the deepest part.
Right.
And the lake had 5 feet visibility compared to what I'm used to. That's actually really good visibility.
Mm.
So the light still makes it down there.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Hello, Larissa.
pitch black. It wasn't super, it was kind of shadowed and hard to see inside the vehicle, but outside the vehicle, it was pretty good visibility.
Yeah, visibility does not translate directly to light transfer. It can still be illuminated pretty darn well. And then also these cameras are really good at operating in low light. Not that it was.
Right.
How many other divers were down there with Nick?
None.
It was just you. When Nick descends, there's a big splash at the bottom left of their video in low light. Not that it was.
Right.
How many other divers were down there with Nick?
None.
Why? Why were there no other divers? Like, I want to know how many other divers were there that day with this team. That's what I'm curious to know. How many other divers were there? No other ones went down, but how many did you have there right there on call where you could have said, all right, now I'm going to send you down. Again, nothing against him because he was new at this, he was in training. It blows my mind that, okay, something like this, and you wouldn't send down an experienced diver just to check and make sure that, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But again, that's not on Nick. That's on whoever, Jared, whoever.
It was just you. When Nick descends, there's a big splash at the bottom left of their video. Nick's hands were empty when he descended. So what is the item descending beside Nick that caused the big splash?
Now, the other day when we were reading this question,
I read the question.
Right. I was telling him, I was like, well, we had 2 lights, one on each side. When I came up from the dive, I only had one. I lost one of the lights down underwater. And so that
Could be the light.
Could be the light
Could be
that's
the light.
flashing. I don't know. I don't remember a splash on that, but
when Nick begins his descent underwater, he descends for the first 5 or so feet and then rolls forward into a face down dive before reaching the car. How did Nick magically descend underwater feet first?
First of all, there's nothing magic about it. This is a good question for those of you that aren't scuba divers. So I've got my little training aid here to help demonstrate this. When you descend on a dive, you're always going to be in the upright position like this. You wear a thing called a buoyancy compensator, which is a vest, fills up with air. It keeps you positively buoyant. When you deflate the air, now you have weight that'll sink you underwater. The air goes to the top where the hose is, and it'll only drain if it's upright. So you drain water there until you get fully submerged underwater. Once you are fully submerged, then you rotate your body horizontally, so now you can see the bottom and continue your descent like so. So I hope that explains it.
And real quick, as well, your weight system is at the center of your mass, so it actually creates a nice little pivot point for your body.
If you're trimmed properly, you'll stay perfectly, almost like a skydiver coming down.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it. It's not a magic thing. That's textbook.
Where did we go? Is there a possibility that Kylie is still alive and the body found came from a local morgue / elsewhere? That's not something that we would know, but we're not ones to speculate. I believe that it was Kylie.
That's textbook.
Where did we go? Is there a possibility that Kylie is still alive and the body found came from a local morgue / elsewhere?
Did you see Nick's face right there? He's like, I'm not going to speculate what he was thinking right at that minute, but I like that question. I like that somebody asked that question. And, Devin's over here. Well, we're not going to speculate. Well, since you only saw a foot, it is a possibility. He could have just said, yes, anything is possible, right? But I think Nick's face says it.
That's textbook.
Where did we go? Is there a possibility that Kylie is still alive and the body found came from a local morgue / elsewhere? That's not something that we would know, but we're not ones to speculate. I believe that it was Kylie.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't see any reason why somebody would put her same car, her same license plate, and a person in it that would resemble her. I
matches
mean,
the
wouldn't the
description.
medical examiners?
Well, and she was positively identified as well.
Right. And, so that's beyond what we have control of.
Could you see well enough that it was not a mannequin?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't a mannequin. Again, the medical examiner, the other divers that came in after me, I would think they would.
But again, see, when he was asked this question, are you sure it's not a mannequin? Or did you see enough to know that it's not a mannequin? Now, again, I'm not saying it is a mannequin, but they just said that they aren't going to speculate and they can only speak on what they personally witnessed, saw, heard, whatever, when they were there. If he says that he only saw a foot or a shoe, I'm sorry, then and then they go on to talk about, well, the medical examiner said this. Well, the cops said this. No, because that was not your personal experience. From what you saw, how can you 100% say that it was Kylie, that it wasn't another person, and that it was not a mannequin, right? Now, again, for those just tuning in, I'm not saying it was a mannequin, okay? I'm saying that was the question. And if they say, well, we can't speculate, but we can only speak on what we personally know, then they should then be honest about that and say, listen, I know I saw a foot, okay? That has nothing to do with what the medical examiner says, has nothing to do with what the cop said, because that's not that's not you. That's not what you're personally yourself seeing, witnessing, hearing. So, they, on one hand, they say, well, we're not going to speculate and speak on things that we don't really know. On the other hand, they are doing just that by saying, well, no, I believe it's her. No, well, the cop said this, the medical examiner said this, blah, blah, blah. Again, that's not coming from you. You guys know what I'm saying here? Hold on, let me see what some of you guys are saying. I think they're afraid or spooked. The thing I don't understand, if he only saw a foot, why did he come up and say that he felt it was suspicious? See, I think that he came up and thought that it was suspicious because she was in the hatchback of the vehicle. That's why. He saw that the windows were down and he was like, she's in the back. Like, this is sus as, So I think that's why he said it was suspicious. In my opinion. Okay. But that's why he said it was suspicious, because she was in the hatchback. The windows were down. It just doesn't add up in his head. I'm sorry, but I feel as if he got paid off big. And hey, I have no idea. Maybe he did. We don't know.
Have verified control of that.
Could you see well enough that it was not a mannequin?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't a mannequin. Again, the medical examiner, the other divers that came in after me, I would think they would
Whoa.
have verified.
Hold up. The other divers that came in after me. Now, he must be talking about who? The police divers? Because he said that he was the only diver that went down there. So he must, not his team, he must be talking about the cop divers who went down there to, or not the, you know what I mean? The divers who went down there to flip the vehicle over.
The medical examiner, the other divers that came in after me, I would think they would have verified whether it was actually a person or a mannequin, unless the entire, all the law enforcement, medical examiners, media, everybody involved is part of a cover-up. I'm pretty sure that it was actually her.
Would Nick say who were the people in the photo shown to Nick, the AAA guide?
No, I'm not going to say. It's.
See, that bugs me. that really bugs me, because you're doing this. You're doing this to answer people's questions, right? That's been a big thing since the AAA video interview came out. Nick's interview came out. That has been the one question everybody wants to know. Who did he show you in the picture? Now it's over, right? The case it's done, it's over. So why not say it? Unless you're afraid, or unless you're being silenced, or unless you're afraid of repercussions. Why wouldn't you just say it? After all this time, come on, guys.
Involved is part of a cover up. I'm pretty sure that it was actually her.
Would Nick say who were the people in the photo shown to Nick, the AAA guide?
No, I'm not going to say. It's no different than anything that anybody's speculated. I don't want to.
It's no different than anybody speculated, but everybody has speculated different people, you know? Oh, it bugs me. Like, come on, Nick. That's, answer the questions, right? And I listen. If they were scared or intimidated or afraid or threatened, their families, then I understand being quiet about it. But if you're not, and there's not this big cover up going on, and there's not these dangerous people involved, and none of this is going on, then why wouldn't you just answer the question? There has to be a reason.
I want to point the finger at anybody, because I don't think that has anything to do with the information there. If it was spoken of, is not going to miraculously break this case.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, if I come out and say it and I give you the name, it's not going to do nothing for this case. It's not gonna. Why is that? Why is that?
Again, and there's another question somewhere in here, but since we're on this topic, and we've discussed this, like when Nick came to us and told us his story, in his mind, he believed what he saw and who he saw was real. Am I skeptical as to exactly who he saw? Yes. But in his mind, he seemed to think that it was the real deal. So we chased that as if we were going after. Let's see, how do I want to rephrase that?
No, I got this. So Nick's information was accurate according to him.
You know what's really weird? Like, I don't know this Devin guy. I've never actually heard from him before. So he's the cameraman. But did you notice that when Nick gets certain questions, when people ask certain questions, he's always looking over at Nick, like, he's just, and then Nick sits back and he's like, oh man, how do I want to rephrase this? He's like, no, I got this. Almost as if he's there to make sure Nick doesn't say anything more than he's supposed to say.
The real deal. So we chased that as if we were going after. Let's see, how do I want to rephrase that?
No, I got this. So Nick's information was accurate according to him. We had no way of verifying it, and the only reason we captured it was that it was just so wild to be approached while we were buying, SSDs.
Hold on, I want to go over here. Let me see. 3 of them are talking. Think about it. However, Doug and Jared not talking. It sure does, because if it was Kylie, then that proves she was alive. Devin, Josh, and Nick are talking about it. I need to talk to Josh then. They make me mad. They're whitewashing us to not ask. Good time to use statement analysis on these 2. Yeah. Hello, Mom. All right.
To store footage, at a Best Buy parking lot that we just decided to capture it and try and verify later. So we could not verify what Nick was thinking. However, we had no reason not to believe him and his girlfriend, who was on scene as well. She was corroborating a lot of the information that he was sharing. But again, we didn't have the footage, but it would have been silly of us not to record at least that interaction as he's trying to.
In one of Doug's previous interviews, he said, now, if anybody can find this, see if you can find this clip for me. In one of the previous interviews, Doug said that they did verify what Nick said, and he was telling the truth. They did verify. Now, those were his exact words. We did verify what the AAA driver said. We were able to verify it. It was phrased either we were able to verify it or we did verify it. But they said they verified it. And now these guys are over here saying that it was not, they could not verify it.
To tell us what he believed. He was corroborating a lot of the information that he was sharing. But again, we didn't have the footage, but it would have been silly of us not to record at least that interaction as he's trying to tell us what he believed was true.
Right.
What was blurred out behind the driver's seat where Kylie Rodney is not located? Kylie's in the very back. So is this something else?
I don't remember it being blurred out. They might have blurred it out thinking that if it was part
of the driver's seat where Kylie Rodney is not located. Kylie's in the very back. So is this something else?
I don't remember it being blurred out. They might have blurred it out thinking that if it was part of her there, they didn't want to show that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You know,
just decency.
courtesy, common decency.
I have no idea what was blurred out.
Right.
And I haven't watched the video anytime recently to verify any of that.
Right.
Kylie's remains were found in the back seat. I believe, is it possible that she floated back there from the driver's seat? This is a good question for you.
Yes, it's absolutely possible that
I have no idea what was blurred out.
Right.
And I haven't watched the video anytime recently to verify any of that.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys. Don't go anywhere. I just got to run and grab my coffee real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Devin said we didn't expect someone to come up to us while we're out getting SSDs. FBI have footage. It wasn't K or JW is all the lady who saw it can say at the moment. I didn't even know that Nana, can you send that to me if you can find where the FBI said that? Because I have not heard a word from the FBI at all. There was a whole production team and media there when they were searching. Okay, let's.
Kylie's remains were found in the back seat. I believe, is it possible that she floated back there from the driver's seat?
Well, first of all, her remains were not found in the back seat. They were found in the hatchback, in the back of the vehicle. And I feel like he should have said that instead of saying, oh, yes, it's absolutely possible that she could have floated from the front seat to the back seat. But she wasn't in the back seat. She was in the back.
This is a good question for you.
yes, it's absolutely possible that She floated back there from the driver's seat.
And
It's not uncommon.
And that's why I believe when he came up, he was like, oh, this is suspicious. Call the authorities. Because maybe it is possible, because you do have that section between the front driver's seat and the back seats, but not the back. You know what I'm saying? Like, between the two seats, you have the middle, between the two front seats, you have the middle section there. Okay. Which isn't just head level. It goes down, up, and go. Okay. Driver's seat, passenger seat, and then you have the section in the middle, which usually goes down to the center console. So you do have that gap there. So maybe it is possible that you could float from the front to the back seat. But then once you get to the back seat, it seats all the way up or all the way across. And then you have the two headrests on each side. There is no break in the middle of those seats. So your body would have to be flat like a piece of paper and flow up and over the back in order to get back there. Or else a leg would get stuck, an arm would get stuck on the back head, you know what I mean, on the back seats. So, but I think he should have clarified that when he did answer this question. He should have said, well, first of all, she wasn't found in the back seat. She was found in the hatchback of the vehicle. And it's not as likely that she could have floated back there.
And I've since gone to some continued training
Right,
on
Dr. Mama.
this type of thing. I've gone to underwater criminal investigator course, master underwater criminal investigator course. I've recently gone to aquatic abuse, death, and homicide investigation class. That was a 3-day course. I learned a ton of stuff there.
Well, in the video when he went down there, the back seats were not folded down. They were up. That's what I'm trying to say. If they were folded down, they'd be a totally different story, but they weren't.
There. So yeah, no, it's not uncommon for people to be in the very back because for different reasons, if it's an accident and they go in, most of the time the motor's in the front and it'll go in like this and it'll slowly sink with the front going first because of all the weight. And now you have an air pocket that will continue to go. And so the person or people inside will be fighting to stay in that air pocket. So they'll continue to migrate towards the back. So it's not uncommon.
Hold up a second. Let me pull something up real quick. Let's see. I'll pull this up here. And let me pull this up, guys. Hold on a second.
You can take off the stove if you want. Do you know who can?
All right. Let me get a picture of this right here. I'm going to go right back to this, but I want to pull this up so you guys can see it. We'll go right back to that. Hold on. Okay. This is a 2013 Honda CR-V. Interior photos. See the headrest? There's no break in the seats up here. This is what I was talking about. See the break that goes down through here between the front seats? Okay, so if you were up here, and then I could see how you could float from there to there. But here, I feel like unless your body was flat as a freaking pancake up here and floated over the top, right? Your arm or something would get stuck on this or this, your arm, your leg, in order for you to float to the back. So there is headrest on the back seats. Okay. Now let me get back over here. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Karma. He thought it was suspicious that she was in the hatchback of the vehicle with the windows down. Like if she was in the front seat and drove into that lake, drunk or not, she would have got out that window. Don't, it was down, for crying out loud. But she was in the back of the vehicle. Is it uncommon to have somebody strapped in the back and strap hanging out? If it's not uncommon for people to end up in the back, why did he think it was so suspicious? In this video, back seats are up and driver's seat is pushed all the way back. Yes, that's right. Correct. Okay. Now let me get you back over here to this. Let's go through his explanation again. That he wants to say in the beginning is suspicious, but oh, nope, it's pretty common.
Were found in the back seat. I believe, is it possible that she floated back there from the driver's seat? This is a good question for you.
Yes, it's absolutely possible that she floated back there from the driver's seat. It's not uncommon, and I've since gone to some continued training on this type of thing. I've gone to underwater criminal investigator course, master underwater criminal.
Hold on. Did he just say, sorry, guys?
It's absolutely possible that she floated back there from the driver's seat. It's not uncommon, and I've since gone to some.
See, so now he's changing and he's saying, listen, at first I thought it was suspicious, but now since I've had more training, it's not so suspicious. It's pretty common. Baloney. What? Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry. All right.
Continued training on this type of thing. I've gone to underwater criminal investigator course, master underwater criminal investigator course. I've recently gone to aquatic abuse, death, and homicide investigation class. That was a 3-day course. I learned a ton of stuff there. So yeah, no, it's not uncommon for people to be in the very back because for different reasons, if it's an accident and they go in, most of the time the vehicle the motor's in the front and it'll go in like this and it'll slowly sink with the front going first because of all the weight. And now you have an air pocket that will continue to go. And so the person or people inside will be fighting to stay in that air pocket. So they'll.
Did you see that? Let me do this. Oh, just back a second. Watch Devin.
The front going first because of all the weight. And now you have an air pocket that will continue to go. And so the person or people inside.
You see when he said the person or people inside and Devin looked over at him real quick? I am telling you, in my opinion, Devin was there to make sure that Nick did not reveal too much.
Will be fighting to stay in that air pocket. So they'll continue to migrate towards the back. So it's not uncommon.
Really? Even with the windows down? Is it uncommon then?
Mythbusters did a really good episode on this, and they showed how Adam, he crawled to the back to try and keep as much air as he could.
Right.
Kylie's remains were found in the back seat. Oh, I just read that one. What was the conversation with Dad and Grandpa on the shore? So I can speak to this a little bit. So I had ears on the situation because we're always listening to the microphones and stuff. Basically just trying to console them. It was purely just, we believe we found her vehicle, and you don't want to be here when the vehicle's pulled up. This isn't how you want to remember her. So, if dad or grandpa are watching, again, my condolences to you guys. And it was a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it.
Right.
Nick, was the information given about Nick or from Nick? Oh, the tow truck driver interview confirmed. We just kind of answered this. Can you guys say that he actually went on a call that night? Was the video from where was the video?
We have no way of verifying that.
Right.
We were hoping that somebody would, or the police would say, hey, we've checked into that, and just so you know, that was false, or otherwise, we have no idea.
We captured the footage because in the moment you have no other reason not to. It's always wise to capture first and then verify as you can go.
Right.
We just never got the opportunity to verify, unfortunately.
Now, on that note, too, I want to say that Devin and I had no say in how any of the videos were edited or what made it to the final print. That was above us. There might have been some stuff that
The cameraman had no say.
we might have thought maybe this shouldn't be in the final edit, but again, that was never even quite, we never got asked, and then we had no say in that.
Why have you chosen to remain so silent? If it's for legal reasons or don't want to be dragged into some consequences or repercussions down the road, please just say that.
Well, first of all, we haven't
chosen to remain so silent. If it's for legal reasons or don't want to be dragged into some consequences or repercussions down the road, please just say that.
Well, first of all, we haven't been silent. I've been on many interviews. I mean, the next day we did TV interviews. I've done YouTube interviews. I mean, again, these questions that we're answering, I feel like aren't going to give anything that's like, aha, because of that, we can now solve this case. I feel like aren't going to give anything that's like, aha, because of that, we can now solve this case. There's really, I'm speaking out now again to talk about this and hope
Catch that.
these questions that we're answering, I feel like aren't going to give anything that's like, aha, because of that, we can now solve this case.
These questions that we're answering aren't gonna.
There's really, I'm speaking out now again to talk about this in hopes that there's people that might think that we are withholding information that might say we're not, or at least nothing that we know.
Nothing.
We can't speak for anybody else outside of Devin and I that was a part of that team. We don't know, but as far as we know, there's no withheld information that would help break this case, in my opinion.
Nothing that we say right now is going to change the information that's already out there.
Right.
Why? Is that done on purpose? Is that purposefully done? I mean, none of the answers that we're going to give is going to change this case. See, it's all in the wording, guys, and it's the wording it's the way they word things that you really have to pay attention to. Is that why you're there, Devin?
We're speaking to the best of our knowledge and just kind of reiterating what's been said before. But again, we wanted to be transparent, answer these questions for you guys, and give context as best we could. Could you see any more of the body other than lower legs or feet with or without shoes?
No, I could not. I just saw basically from just below the knees down, you see pants, socks, shoes.
What's been said before, but again, we wanted to be transparent, answer these questions for you guys, and give context as best we could. Could you see any more of the body other than lower legs or feet with or without shoes?
No, I could not.
Okay, so again, from what you personally witnessed, you saw a foot and a part of a leg, right? That's what he said, from the knee down. That's what he saw. So from his own personal experience and what he himself seen and witnessed, he cannot say whether or not that was Kylie or somebody else. He can't, it's impossible by a leg.
Saw basically from just below the knees down. You see pants,
When I'm done.
socks, shoes. I only could really verify one because of the angle of it. It would be like you looking at this leg here. You can't really see this backside, especially in a dark shadowed vehicle.
Do you have any input as to how long you thought the car appeared to have been in the water?
Oh, no, not necessarily. That's a tough one because most of the stuff that I've ever encountered in the past has been super old cases or old stolen vehicles that.
Well, no, Nana, obviously he would be thinking that, okay, I see a foot. It's her car. It's her. Obviously, I get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that after all this, after everything that's happened and all the stuff that's come out and all the questions and all the stuff that's come out, I'm just saying that he himself cannot with 100% certainty say that it was her. That's all I'm saying. Like, again, it's nothing against him. I'm not, I'm just saying that he himself cannot say with 100% certainty that it was her, right? But I'm sure he assumed it was because it was her car. They were looking for her. I get that.
You can tell I've been there quite a while. Now I could tell that the car had definitely been there for more than a few days because there was a little bit of algae growth on kind of a film on some of the windows. And there was wildlife, swimming in and out of the vehicle. So it wasn't
More than a few days.
like it had just gone in, but as far as exactly how many days, I have no way of.
And it's weird that the whole entire car, he said, had algae on it, the windows, there was algae on it. Like it had been in there a few days, right? He's saying it didn't just go in, but it was put in there, it'd been in there for a little while anyway. But the license plate was clean as a freaking cleaner than clean. There was not one speck of algae or anything on that license plate. Now, somebody had said to me before, well, what if he had taken his hand and wiped off the license plate to verify the number or to verify the plate number? If that was true and he just took his hand and wiped off the plate, you would still see, you know what I mean? Your hand's not going to clear the whole entire plate. You're just going to clear it enough so you can read the numbers. But it was so incredibly clean. Like that license plate was just put on that vehicle. Those of you that have been following this case, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, Kylie was the first body. Why does Devin keep looking at him like that as if to make sure he's answering correctly? I don't like that. I don't like that either. So if he only saw the foot, whose terrible footage was making the rounds of her in the vehicle underwater? Does anyone know? That was Nick going around with the camera attached to himself. He was clearly shaken and in shock. If I was in his shoes, that trauma might shadow my recollection. She was a 16-year-old and he has a good heart, I believe. Devin gives me handler vibes.
Verifying that.
And I don't know that there is a way because each lake is each lake and river is its own biome and
just gone in, but as far as exactly how many days, I have no way of verifying that.
And I don't know that there is a way because each lake is each lake and river is its own biome and going to have different stages and rates of algae growth and stuff. Has Nick learned any more or had any other further questions from law enforcement since your interview? What interview?
Yeah, I don't know what interview they're talking about there. They never really interviewed us. They asked me a few questions as far as depth. Is that the video? Yes, we showed them the footage, and then that was it. We had lunch with them a few days later because they wanted to ask us. They wanted to see our equipment and how we basically found her, what practices we used, and then that was the only interactions I've had with any of the law enforcement that were part of that.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that before. I didn't know that a couple days after this, they all had lunch with the cops. So the cops could ask them questions. I think that's pretty interesting.
You can go back onto Placer County Sheriff's Facebook page and you'll see a photo of us together. That's when we had lunch with them. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's Nick's best probability? Thoughts on suspiciousness of Kylie being in the back? Was it considered trunk of the vehicle?
On a scale from 1 to 10, at the time I was fairly new to. That was my very first one of like a fresh incident, something that was that new. So yes, that was a little suspicious to me. Her being in the back, I've since learned that that's actually not uncommon at all. There were other things combined with that made the whole situation.
So now he's saying that after learning more and doing, he was new at that time. So after learning more and, learning more about recoveries and things that have happened, he now thinks that it's not so suspicious that she was in the back seat, or I'm sorry, she was in the back hatchback of the vehicle. In my opinion, now I'm not a diver, so obviously he knows more than I do when it comes to diving. I just find it, to me, it's a little suspicious, especially since the windows were down.
Suspicious, but we'll go into that later. There's another question, I think.
Did Nick feel by the treatment to the team that law enforcement wasn't taking this as a possible crime scene? Did the number of people walking through the scene bring question as to...
Suspicious, but we'll go into that later. There's another question, I think.
I'd be like, stop looking at me like that, dude.
Did Nick feel by the treatment to the team that law enforcement wasn't taking this as a possible crime scene? Did the number of people walking through the scene bring question as to, or as being add to Nick and the team because of contamination along with no gloves used? Okay, that was worded a little funny, but I think the question here is, law enforcement, were they treating it as a crime scene once we found the vehicle?
Yes, they actually, once we showed them the footage, they kicked us out and they flagged it off. I wasn't super experienced at all with crime scenes, so to speak. So there were no red flags at all, in my opinion. It was just, it was more of shock that I'd found her and that the whole thing was happening like it was. So I didn't feel like the law enforcement were being negligent in any way. I felt like they were actually doing their job to the best of their ability at the time. And I don't know exactly what agencies were all there. Most of them didn't have logos on. They were wearing polos,
Polos and khakis.
There could have been FBI, multiple sheriffs departments, detectives. There was a lot. I don't know exactly who they were.
And to be clear, they weren't rude to us. They simply just said, okay, we need you guys to leave because it is now a crime scene. To remove any further contamination.
Right.
But yeah, they weren't rude to us, but they did take it seriously and they kept everyone from getting close to it. Of course, the footage that you guys saw, we were able to park where we had started the day before, we were able to park where we had started that day and then hike back through the woods to get down across the water from them. So, it wasn't an area that they cordoned off. We were already there. And that's why you guys got to see that side of it. Was there any uncomfortable feeling perceived by Nick that law enforcement gave off pressure to not go out further into Prosser Reservoir to search? No,
not at all.
No, I believe we were just told, we had searched it. You're free to search it.
Right. That
Yeah.
was it.
Are you aware, Nick, of law enforcement spending a long period of time taking video of the scene underwater prior to the car being brought out? Did you? Or we had searched it. You're free to search it.
Right. That was it.
Are you? Was there any uncomfortable feeling perceived by Nick that law enforcement gave off pressure to not go out further into Prosser Reservoir to search? No.
No, not at all.
No. I mean, I believe we were just told, we had searched it. You're free to search it.
Right. That was it.
Are you aware, Nick, of law enforcement spending a long period of time taking video of the scene underwater prior to the car being brought out? Did you see any law enforcement videos?
I am aware of them go. I watched, there was 2 divers they sent underwater after me to do their initial investigation. And what happens there is they would take, I'm assuming they would take cameras with them, take video and good photos of the whole scene. That's why it takes a while. Then they would come out. Was I able to see that footage? No, they haven't shared any of that information, or
Nor will they.
nor they probably will. And again, there's another question in here, but while we're talking about this, they kick out, if you're not law enforcement or an invited party, it's common practice for them to kick you out of the scene. Why do they do that? I don't know for sure. I can only assume it's a liability thing. Do I think it's necessarily the right thing to do? Not necessarily. If you have people that are an expert in a field that you're not, it might behoove you to actually keep some of these people on site, but they don't do that. And that's beyond our control. We have no say over that. We're just volunteers doing our thing. So hopefully that clears up that a little bit.
Besides the fact that Kylie was in the back of the car, what gave you the impression foul play may have been involved?
First of all,
Yes.
I never said foul play may have been. We're just volunteers doing our thing. So hopefully that clears up that a little bit.
Besides the fact that Kylie was in the back of the car, what gave you the impression foul play may have been involved?
First of all,
Yes.
I never said foul play may have been involved. So I don't know where that came from. My words were, it looks suspicious. And the reason I said that was not just because she was in the back of the vehicle. There was a lot of things that went on there. The main thing being that when I found her on sonar, Devin and I saw that it was this big, obvious shadow that I could see using sonar. And so when I finally dove on it to confirm it was her, I was thinking, how in the world could anybody miss this? It stands out like a sore thumb. So then your mind starts going, is there a possibility based on the conversations that we heard from Nick, the roadside assistance guy, seeing her possibly the day after, that maybe somebody put the vehicle back or put the vehicle in the lake after it was already searched? So from Nick, the roadside assistance guy, seeing her possibly the day after, that maybe somebody put the vehicle back or put the vehicle in the lake after it was already searched. So, you know what I'm saying, to put yourself in my shoes of what I had encountered and then finding out like this doesn't add up. So yes, it was suspicious for several reasons, not just that Kylie was in the back of the car.
But making sure to make that distinction, suspicious, foul play,
Yeah,
2 different things.
correct.
The former team are experts at water retrieval vehicles. So why did law enforcement allow the team to do it? Law enforcement made a mess of it. We kind of answered this a minute ago.
Yep.
It's their scene. We're not going to get in the way of law enforcement doing their thing. What exactly did you see when you saw the shoes? According to the autopsy, she only had one on and the other was off with a sock on it. Was she recognizable in the water?
I showed you what I saw was basically right there, so she might have only had one shoe on. I verified there was at least one on, and that's it.
Do you think she was murdered? What about her being passed away before she entered? What did she? Who did she fight? Yeah, who did she fight? Again, we're not going to answer who she fought. We don't know, and we're not going to speculate on that. Do we think Do you think she was murdered? No. We're not going to speculate on that. Do we think Do you think she was murdered? No. And we're not going to speculate.
I agree.
Yeah. Nick, the private investigator said that you guys took him into the trailer and shared the underwater footage with him. Is that true?
I don't remember him being in.
Said that you guys took him into the trailer and shared the fight. Again, we're not going to answer who she fought. We don't know, and we're not going to speculate on that. Do we think Do you think she was murdered? No. And we're not going to speculate.
I agree.
Yeah. Nick, the private investigator said that you guys took him into the trailer and shared the underwater footage with him. Is that true?
I don't remember him being invited into the trailer. If I remember right, there was only me,
Only law
one other
enforcement.
cameraman that had the footage on his laptop, and there was like 3, maybe 4 law enforcement agents, and they could have been from various agencies. And that private investigator guy, he was there with the dad and the grandpa, and
You guys didn't even hear a word I said. I was muted the whole entire time. But why is Devin over here going, if this is Nick's interview, why is Devin here going, oh, we're not going to answer that. We're not going to speculate. Why don't you just let Nick answer the questions that people had for him? If you were just a camera guy there and you're like, hey, yeah, I'll go in, I'll, answer some of these questions with you. And, I'll answer the ones that I can answer. And from what I know from being a cameraman and blah, 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 instead of being like, oh, we're not going to answer that. We're not going to speculate. Why don't you let Nick answer the questions? Huh? And second of all, SF is full of it. I don't believe for 1 second that AWP was like, hey, come here, you private investigator, and let me show you our underwater footage. I think SF, Steve Whitaker, Steve Fisher, whatever his name is a liar, in my opinion.
The only interaction that I had with him, he came up to me and he said, I got all my little logbook from that trip right here. And I've actually got right here. So he came up to me and he thanked me for finding her and verifying that. And he opened up his wallet and he pulled out a business card and he handed me his business card right here. And he said, thank you. And he handed me that. And he said, when this all settles down, I'll see to it that you get your reward. And that was the last interaction I had with him. So I don't remember him being in there to see any footage.
He also happened to claim that we used his drone footage, and we didn't. We had our own drones. We had our own pilots.
Yeah, I never saw his.
Yeah, we have no idea what he's talking about. How long were you underwater during the discovery of the CRV, and did it take more than one dive? We answered this.
4 minutes, one dive.
4 minutes, one dive. Is there more footage of your underwater dives and inside and out of the CRV that did not get released?
Not really. I mean,
I mean, total time from time of touching water and then coming out, the GoPro was probably recording for a max of 10 minutes.
Right.
And inside the car, I mean, once you saw the feet, you pretty much were done.
Yeah, I went to the front window, and I think that was that the passenger side that might have been halfway. I don't remember now. I'd have to look at the footage again, but
yeah, it was the passenger side.
But yeah, once I verified that there was a human remains inside and it was her car, my job was done. I got out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. It says, and if yes to number 39, we have like 55 questions. About how many minutes/hours of video has not yet been released and why it hasn't been released publicly. Again, we kind of touched on this. There were 20 plus hours of footage probably recorded that entire day. Not all of it is footage that gives any information.
Right.
It's just, we're cruising around in a boat maybe.
I'd be curious to see the footage that they do have that obviously they thought was not important enough to put, just to see, who's there, who's around, what people are in the background, what's going on in that area at that time.
Underwater stuff, it has no relevance. So the reason why it doesn't get released is relevance, and it's just nothing. Do you or any of the former team know more about what happened to Kylie or how the CRV got into Prosser than what was publicly released or stated? And if yes, can you share any of that?
No,
I have no idea.
We would like answers just like all of you.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think the license plate on the CRV appeared so clean given the wheels and tires, wheel wells on the same car appeared so rusty, old, and silt covered?
Leave it alone.
I never really paid attention to that, but I mean, again, something that's been underwater in muddy, silty for maybe up to a couple weeks versus what was on it before it went into the car. I'm not like an expert on.
Well, and it was a dusty, dirty road on the same car appeared so rusty, old, and silt covered.
I never really paid attention to that, but I mean, again, something that's been underwater in muddy, silty for maybe up to a couple weeks versus what was on it before it went into the car. I'm not like an expert on.
Well, and it was a dusty, dirty road to get out there too.
Yeah.
Who knows how dirty the car was before it went into the water, how much of it cemented. That's all speculation. So
I don't remember the year of the vehicle either. So.
It was newer. It was a newer CRV. Okay. From your experience, is that to be expected or not on the car that has been submerged for 2 weeks in a lake? Oh, that's kind of a continuation. Was all of your underwater footage shared with the FBI and CHP in addition to or instead of local law enforcement?
I don't know who all has seen it. There was multiple people in that trailer.
Oh, thank you, D. Libby. I appreciate you, CNY. Your dedication to this case is anything short of amazing. Much love, fam. Thank you, D. Libby. I so much appreciate that. All right, now let me rewind this section just a little bit.
Your experience, is that to be expected or not on the car that has been submerged for 2 weeks in a lake? Oh, that's kind of a continuation. Was all of your underwater footage shared with the FBI and CHP in addition to or instead of local law enforcement?
I don't know who all has seen it. There was multiple people in that trailer when we shared it. And we also gave a copy on an SD card to them. So they still have all that footage.
Yeah.
It wasn't exclusive to us.
Right. Why in the 9/2 publicly released video did the former member say while standing at Prosser boat ramp that this was the location of the last phone ping by Kylie Rodney? It is quite a distance from where the media.
So who all has seen it? There was multiple people in that trailer when we shared it. And we also gave a copy on an SD card to them. So they still have all that footage.
Yeah.
It wasn't exclusive to us.
Right. Why in the 9/2 publicly released video did the former member say while standing at Prosser boat ramp that this was the location of the last phone ping by Kylie Rodney? It is quite a distance from where the media claimed the last ping was, and Ellie did not or never said where. Okay, this is again, it was relative, right?
I was waiting for him to go, okay, see, this is a common misconception. That's what I thought he was just going to say. Oh my God.
The cell phone towers aren't going to give an exact location.
Hey,
This was
Smiley.
probably one of the closer water features to that cell phone tower, and that's probably why that former member said that.
Where he said that, he could have been referring to the lake, not
Mhm.
exactly where he was standing at that time.
Right. It was more broad. It wasn't precise.
And again, though, that's our opinion because we weren't
wasn't
the person that said that. So I don't know. I can't
Yes,
answer to
Mom,
that 100%.
first, definitely.
After 15 months have passed since you interviewed Nick G, the tow truck driver, what do you make of the authenticity of his story about his 8/6/2022 AAA encounter at Boca? His story later told by him about the disappearance of his dash cam video of that encounter and about the circumstances that led Nick G to find you guys at Best Buy at night on 8/19. And have you ever, gosh, it's so long one. And have you ever questioned his authenticity about all that? And if so, why?
Yes, I've questioned it,
Mhm.
but again, it was one of those things when you have a witness, a potential witness making a statement, you have to kind of follow up on it as if what they're telling you they believe to be true.
Mm.
So again, we've already kind of touched on this. The way that story was told to us, in his mind, he believed it. Whether it's 100% accurate, hopefully we'll know, because apparently there was footage that was captured and nobody can seem to get a hold of that footage. So
Yeah, and that's not on anybody in relation to this event. I don't believe Nick would have destroyed his own footage. We had no access to the footage, so I wouldn't condemn Nick for coming forward with information.
right, and neither of us, I don't know about the others, but I'm assuming it's the same. But neither of us have spoken to Nick since that interview. That was
Right. Yeah, that was the last time we ever saw him or
Right.
heard from him. Were you ever approached by anybody to sign any kind of NDA? Were you offered anything, money, gifts, fame, etc., or threatened in any way in exchange for silence on this case? If so, what were you offered, or what was the threat, and by whom? So I'll start this a little bit.
Why are you starting this? Nobody is even asking you. Why?
We can't speak about the former team or any of that stuff, for obvious reasons. But in regards to the Kylie Rodney case, nobody approached us. We didn't sign anything. We haven't stayed silent. This is the first time I might be appearing on camera, but it's because everything was already said by Nick.
Right.
So everything that we're talking about, again, is public information. None of this is secret hush hush, secret squirrel, revolutionary stuff.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, this is a multi-parter. Find it curious that you saw human remains seemingly only through the small rearmost side window, but not through the considerably larger rear window. Hypothetical question: if you had carefully peered into the rear window after knowing what was back there, the window above, or in this case below the license plate, and assuming the window was clear of lake debris and algae, would you have been able to see the full length or most of her body, or was this something other than algae or lake debris blocking the view from the rear window such that only the feet/head of the body could be seen from the side?
So basically the vehicle's upside down like this. If you saw in the video, I actually did try, because looking through here, I saw what appeared to be a pair of shoes. And so to get it in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that could be her shoes on her feet. So I went around to see if I could get a closer look, because I saw that it was in the back of the vehicle. And then you see in the video, I actually wiped the window because there was growth or like dirt or
Some film.
on there. And I thought maybe I could wipe it away. Well, I couldn't. That's why I went around to this window here where I peeked in. And that's where I could finally see and confirm that there was somebody in the vehicle.
And then the second part: was her body mostly laying down against the roof of the car, meaning that her body had sunk as far down as it could go in the upside down vehicle, or was her body instead positioned mostly against what would be the floor of the cargo area, which be in the floating position. Perhaps a more simple way of asking the question, the same thing. When you saw her body through the side window, were you looking mostly at what would be the underside of her torso or above her? Was she floating? Was she saying?
She was positively buoyant. That's why her feet were hanging down.
This one we can't really answer. What was the text message that was received in the middle of Prosser?
I don't know. That was
No idea.
else.
We weren't there either. Was there anything else suspect about the car other than deceased in the rear hatch with one window totally open and the other half open?
No, the car was one part of the puzzle. Again, the fact that we found her so easily when apparently the place had been searched by multiple organizations, multiple boats, multiple scuba divers, that was more suspicious to me than anything.
Right. When you interviewed with Nick G about him, possibly seeing Kylie on Saturday morning, did he at any time specify the make and model of the car? Was that never mentioned? The full video is released, I believe. It's like an unedited version. Right. I don't remember him saying the exact make and model of the car, but he said that he saw it on the flyer and it looked like the same vehicle.
Right.
Did Nick see her face to confirm that it was Kylie without a doubt?
No.
Does Nick feel that the car was in the water the whole 2 weeks? Does he think that it went in at night of the party? Can he confirm it was Kylie in the vehicle? And did he/they really give all the information to Dad, Grandpa, SF that SF has tried to pass off as if it came from the former team?
I don't know what information from our former team got passed on to SF. I have no idea. It wasn't me. I didn't pass on any information, neither did Devin.
Information to
Dad, I have no idea to verify exactly what 2 weeks underwater looks like in Prosser Reservoir.
Smiley, if you can find that previous interview where he said they saw skin, can you send that to me? Thank you.
Particular time of year when the water temperature is 73 degrees, what it looked like prior to going in. So that's impossible for me to answer. I mean, it looked like it had been under there again for several days.
Yeah. This one's kind of funny. Hi, CC. Good to hear from you. One for you. Why should we trust Nick? One for Nick. What was the text message that was received in the middle of process saying in regard to the fight? Again, we don't know. We weren't there. It wasn't our text message.
Why should we trust
Nick again?
Nick?
He said Nick.
Well, I guess
you.
If you want to be, skeptical, that's fine. But again, I don't really have anything to gain by doing this. If I thought it was going to get me some clicks, I would have put it on my own YouTube channel. Again, I voluntarily answered CC to answer these questions to help people understand the realities of what we saw that day or during that search. I would like to get the answers too. So if any of this helps, please, I would think that rather than reaching out to just me or some YouTubers to try to get some answers, put the pressure on the local law enforcement in the area to give a statement.
Absolutely, 100%.
Circumstances that I've researched when something like this happens and they finally get done with their case, they make a public statement saying what they believe happened. I'm not aware of any of this. So put some pressure on these people to give you guys some answers and not, just assume that they're hiding something. If they are, they need to get pressure. They need to give some answers. And since they're not, that's why I'm coming forward to give any information, hoping that maybe it'll put some pressure to clarify some things, because we all want to know what happened.
And this is the last question. Was there anything else suspect about the car other than the deceased in the rear hatch with one window totally open and the other half open? Again, I haven't seen the video recently to verify which windows
the
were
windows
open.
Were a little suspicious to me because I heard the night that she went missing, it was raining out. So I thought it was a little weird that windows are down, or one was all the way down, one was halfway down on the opposite side of the vehicle. Again, there's a few things that are still suspicious to me. I've gone through several different trainings since then that I've learned a lot. One is that I'll share with you statistically on some very smart people that have been doing this a long time, have done some research, and they found that basically when it comes to people drowning or finding a deceased person in the water, out of all those, about somewhere, I think it was over 90% of those are male. And out of that 90% that are male, the ones that end up being a homicide or foul play is a very small percentage, perhaps maybe 5 to 7%, if I remember right. Well, now out of that total, let's talk about the females. If 90+% of all water deaths are male, that leaves about, say, 7 to 10% female. Out of those, about 2/3 of them end up being a homicide or foul play. So just based on those statistics alone, I feel that there's more to look into when somebody ends up in this situation, that you can't just write it off instantly as, oh, I guess it's an accident. She accidentally drove in. I think that's that you got to be open-minded to all the possibilities when something like this happens.
Again, not to cast any doubt on anyone's situation, just the answers are still out there and we don't have them.
Right. So hopefully that helps clarify some of these. Again, CC, thank you for everything you've done and are doing. And I know we are working together behind the scenes to continue to do some research on this case. And hopefully someday either somebody will figure something out that'll shed some light on this, or the law enforcement will come forward and give us kind of their interpretation of what they think happened.
For those of you that sent in questions, that are continuing to ask questions, thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it that you guys are still looking and searching for the truth. We may not have new information, but this is as accurate as we can present it to you. But we're going to continue to search. We're going to continue to do our own investigation, and we appreciate that you guys are continuing yours.
Absolutely. And thanks again, CC, for doing this. And thank you everyone for watching. And just hope everybody stays safe out there. And we'll talk to you later.
That's 100% correct. You cannot, there was no water in her lungs, period. Meaning she did not drown. She was already gone before she went into the water, if that was in fact her in the water. Now, I have respect for what these people do. I do believe that, Nick thinks that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and I do think he's trying to figure it all out. But to me, it just seemed like he was silenced during this interview, and he was not allowed to say what he truly wanted to say, in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm going to have to check out the Judy Ron one and see how that one goes. But I mean, I think a lot of questions weren't answered. I think some questions weren't answered. I think some questions were avoided, but I don't think it was on Nick's part, in my opinion. I just don't. I think he actually does care. And, I think he just was, it seemed to me a little bit strong-armed in this video, where he was not allowed to say what he really thought and wanted to say, because every time it was a question about something like that, you got this guy jumping in going, well, first of all, we're not going to speculate. We're not going to answer that. We're not doing any of that. But again, this wasn't really for you. You weren't the one down there. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could go over the Judy Ron one together. I don't know. I'll have to see if I can even do that. But this is all I have for this one. So I hope, I thank you guys for being here. Please hit that thumbs up. Please consider subbing to the channel. It's free. It's a free way to support the channel, and it's a free way to support truth. And that's all we do over here. Again, thank you, Casey, for renewing your membership. That's awesome. Thank you for the many months of support. Thank you all for being here. I know it is the holiday time. Everybody's got stuff going on, but if you can afford to and you want to help at all, The links are down in the description below. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. And I will see you all next time.